Hi everyone, Emma here. I have a lovely bracelet to show you. Now, I kind of did this design on my own, but as I started putting it together, I realized there's probably a bunch of designs out there, but I thought I'd show you anyway. I just love this bracelet design, and one of the big reasons is it includes right angle weave, which I find is probably one of the first um, stitches that you learn, and you can go from right angle weave to so many different bracelets. So you can use tiny beads, you can use large pearls, you can use whatever, and then you can embellish it with whatever you want and totally make it your own. So that's why I really enjoy right angle weave. So let me show you, to start out, some examples of what I did or what I got started. I'm actually going to do a couple of videos in this series using this same concept, but changing it up each time. So we're going to work with these today, these colors, but let me show you what I started out with. So the first one, and this is in the process of being completed. So let me enlarge this first of all so you can see what I'm talking about. So this here, if you ignore these pieces here, I'm just going to fold those over. You can see, let me get my needle to point to it. So this first one here is a right angle weave. Then you attach a right angle weave again. Now I've created a different color, so when I add this color here, I'm adding a silver, a blue, a silver as my second set of right angle weave. So it creates this different color, and you do that for a whole length. Then you come back and you add these the blue beads along the side. So it's just woven in from the top to the next seed bead each time. Now this color area is different. I was attempting to create a closure area, so I probably should have used a blue bead here to continue this, like so, and then maybe add, and I can still do that at the end. So anyway, you add, and this is just basic stringing. So you bring your needle down, you add a blue, you continue to the next silver, add a blue all the way down, you turn around, you come back up, then you add a picot, which is really a right angle weave again, and it creates these lovely lace looking things. And let me show you on this one without showing you too much. So that's what you get, is this lovely, so you could use this as a bracelet and that's it. Add your closure and you're done, and you have this beautiful lacy looking bracelet. So let's stick with this one and then I'll go to the next one. So then once you have all that, you add a crystal along one side. These are Swarovski crystals. And then you zip it up, and this is what it looks like. So I knew I should have left the needle on, but I'll show you in this bracelet how we zip it up. But basically, you fold these picots over and you attach them to the picot on the other side, and you've already got your crystal there. So it creates like a tennis bracelet. So I find I've done a bunch of different designs of tennis bracelets and I love them. But some of them are a lot of work and a bit not necessarily complicated, but they do, if you miss a step, it really makes a difference in it. But this is so simple. You're just kind of threading things together, and this is what you end up with, this lovely kind of tennis bracelet. So there you go. So, look at how pretty that is. Now I probably would have done a different crystal or change the colors, maybe add the blue as these beads. But there's so many variations. So this is one bracelet, and this is what we're going to make today. We're not going to do the full thing. We're going to do a short piece so that I can show you from start to finish what it looks like. There's that one. Then you can do some funky colors. Look at this one. So this is using turquoise and salmon color opaque beads, and look at how delicious this looks. And this is a peach Swarovski crystal, so that is a lot of fun. So there's that. And when I was doing that, I found that this part here, I'm trying to think why this curled. I think I added a seed bead on each side of the crystal, which created this curl, which is actually interesting because you could use this as a ring. Anyway, that, you know, that's part of playing with things as you figure things out as you're going. So we'll put those aside. Then the, I won't say last bracelet because I think there's more to do with this. And this is probably my favorite here. And this is a cuff bracelet. And basically, you take 2 strands of these kind of lacy right angle weave, and you zip them together with your crystal in the middle. And oh my heavens, this is so gorgeous. And again, you can put it all one color. You don't have to add the different colors. So, or you could do say a different type of silver so that it gives some changes in it. But there you go. So let's go ahead and make that. I know that was like a lot of talking about it. So what you're going to need is, you're going to need some type of closure. I'm just going to, normally I don't put jump rings on my bead weaving bracelets because I find that the thread is so thin that if you don't close this properly, or if it gets pulled open a bit, your clasp comes off and you lose your bracelet. So I normally attach my closure right into the first weave. So say, let's look at this one because you can really see. So that 3 piece there, I would attach it right into that. So I might put a something like this, an extra set of beads, and attach it right into there, and that way it won't come off. But because today we're just doing a tiny piece, I don't want to, you know, do that. We can always take this off and reuse it for something. So you can use any closure. If you only have lobster claws, here is a really interesting way to do that, is use a closed jump ring. And you can get these super cheap on AliExpress, and I'm sure Michael sells them as well. So there you go. So we're using like a copper color because we're using, and I want to continue with the 2 colors for this demonstration. So hopefully you will be able to see the different colors and what I'm doing. So that was that idea. I did take out some 15-0 seed beads because I do want to attempt, when we go to zip it together, to add a 15-0 on each end of the crystal. And let me see if I can show you. Can't see it on this one. You can't see it on that one. Maybe it's this one you can see it on. You can see the threads. Look at that, how loose it is. And if I were to tighten that, it would affect. So, no, I might be able to slide it down. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely, I feel like it needs something because you can see the thread. Now, I used the crystal thread, the dragon thread, so you can't see it unless you're looking really up close, but if you're like me with your beading, you don't want those major spaces of thread showing. And like I said, I attempted to put 11 O's on the others and it curled it too much. So I think the 15 O's will work. So we'll try that. And I'm going to use the green thread today. This awesome dragon thread from Potomac Beads. And I have been using this exclusively since I got this, and you can go back to my unboxing of this. That's probably a little over a month, and so far I love it. Now I haven't used the black a lot. When I have used the black, it shreds and stuff like that and breaks. I may contact them and ask them to send me a replacement one. I have a feeling that it was just a bad batch because these guys are amazing. They hold up really well. They're wonderful to work with, and they're so much more affordable than the dragon thread. So I've already gone ahead and cut a piece. For this bracelet, depending on which version you're going to make, will depend on how much thread you need. But to start with, we'll just start with a wingspan. So let's go ahead and put some stuff out. You're going to need your scissors and a needle. And I did find that I was using a size 10 needle, worked fine. It would get a bit sticky in certain spots where I had knots. Using the 15, you might want to go with a size 12 needle. I'm using a collapsible needle, but these collapsible needles I have are super tiny. So we'll see how we go. If we have to take it off, we will. So we'll just put that aside, and we'll put these guys aside because we're not going to need them right now. And let's put some, now we have to decide which bead's going to be our main color. So what's your choice? I need your help. Let me know in the comments. I should have done this live, but my internet, excuse me, sucks. So live is not an option right now. We had a transformer across the street from us blow the other day. We've had a lot of rain, and we get a lot of salt in the air, and it corrodes the attachments. I think we will put these on the bottom. So let me just look at my design so I make sure I get it in the right position. Okay, so these we'll consider the tops. So we're going to start out with a right angle weave on this one. Actually, what we're going to start out with is the closure for the clasp. And I think initially I was just doing 3, like a white, or 4 for a right angle weave. But since this is where the clasp is going to be, I'd like to put 5 or 6. Let's do 5. So there is your 5, and bring it all down to the bottom and tie it in a knot like that, and that's what it's going to look like. And make another knot, and like that, nice and tight. Make sure it's not going anywhere. There, and you can clip this off. And I did sharpen my scissors. I think Tammy had given me some advice about using some tin foil, but I remembered that I had bought a knife sharpener from the dollars. Actually, no, I bought it from Amazon, but it's like a little rubber thing and it has 3 slots. So I did a couple of slides on each side, and you know what? My scissors are working awesome now. So, and when I was watching the video from Allie at Potomac Beads, she did kind of infer something about the fire line dulling your scissors. So I'm just kind of pulling a bit and seeing if I can get rid of that tail, but it's not super essential. You're not going to see that. And sometimes if you pull too hard, you pull your knot out there. It's fine out. So we're just going to go through. So you can see how tiny it gets, but you can put your jump ring in. I'm just going to go around and then pass the knot. So a few more here. So yeah, you can see it gets sticky at this juncture. So we might want to add a different needle to this. These are teeny tiny. These are check glass. I don't know if I told you 11 O's there. Let's get my pliers, see if I can get that through. There. So put that close by. And just kind of, you don't have to do that, but okay. There's your clasp. So now we're going to add the first right angle weave. So we're going to add one. Actually, this bead is going to be part of the right angle weave, so we're going to actually start from the beginning. So we're going to add one of the light color, one of the dark color, one of the light color, like that. Then we're coming out of this side, we're going to go in the opposite side. And that's what you have so far. So now we need to be in this bead here. So we're coming out of this side here, and we're going to go through the first one. And I'm going to enlarge this a little more for you, because it is, they are tiny beads. And we're going to go through that one. And that happens, your fingers get caught in your thread, and pull it out of frame. There. So that's where you want to be. So now you're just going to continue with the same idea. So one light bead, one dark bead, one light bead, like that. Coming out of that side, going in this side. I think what we'll do is we'll do 10 sets. Okay, like that. One light, one dark, one light. Like that. Oh, we need to, sorry, getting ahead of myself. I get so excited. I move steps ahead. We need to bring our thread. So that is similar in all right angle weave, is you have to reposition your needle to this start point. So you end up going through 2 beads to do that, like that. So pick up light color, dark color, light color, coming out of that side, going into this side, and pull it through like that. Go through the side bead, and it doesn't matter if it gets loose because it's gonna readjust like that. There. Then through this top bead, like that. And if you're not too sure about right angle weave, you could take a look at some of my videos. I use large pearls, medium-sized pearls. So it's a little easier to see this right angle weave situation happening here. And I'm just positioning the beads where I want them, like that. So go up through this side one, and sometimes you can go through both and then through the top. Just make sure you position them. So let's continue a few more. We might do a few more than 10 because it might be easier to see. So you're coming out this side. I'm going to go in the opposite side of that top dark bead. I'm going to try and hang on and not get hooked here. And pull it through. Like that. Then you're going to go through the light colored and the dark colored. There, like that. You can, they wiggle around a bit. You might want to try and tighten them a little more. But not to worry, once we go back down and add the beads to the side, it will tighten everything up as well. So let's go light, dark, light, like that. Go into the opposite side that your thread is coming out of and pull everything down like that. Then go through the light one and the dark one. And when you do this for a while, you start getting really quick at it. There, like that. Yeah, I think we need to do more than just 10 here. It's not even on my finger all the way. So I really enjoy doing right angle weave. I find it's so simple, but it has so many variations once you have the weave. So it's really cool. You can create some really amazing bracelets with it. Let's see if I can tighten that. And just keep going. And with something like this, you can really do some crazy colors. I should actually do one of the double ones and use it for my, let me show you, my Hello Kitty slider that Kath got me. She got me 2 of them. But can you imagine like a bracelet like this and then Hello Kitty on it? That would look amazing. But I would do it like the crystal and the pink fuchsia. That would look awesome. And maybe some gold beads. Okay, I'm getting silly now. You know me. Silly, silly girl. Okay, let's come up here. Tight. Let's get a light, dark, light, and go through the other side. Pull it tight. Then go through here. And pull it snug. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I think we need to do, say, 20. So I will try and do this a little faster, but with letting you see what I'm doing. Make sure I've got the right amount here. And then we can do the other fun stuff to this. So that's 10. And let me show you a trick I do. Oh, like I said, I always get ahead of myself till I look down at my work and go, I'm in the wrong place. One of the tricks I do for counting how many sets I have to do again is I will take that amount of beads. So there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I will put out an amount of beads, and I will take from that pile so that this way, when that pile's empty, I know I've got my amount. Now I still count again and again, obsessively, sometimes. Because I'll tell you, on this one here, I counted so many times. And let's take a look. They are not the same length. There's one missing on this one. And I counted a few times, so... Oh, I didn't... My bead must have fallen off. So yeah, this needle is a little big. I'm finding it's a little hard to go through once the thread's on. So when we go to do the other part, I might switch it. We'll see how we get along. Sorry, guys. How I messed up and moved my hands, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, this is getting a bit loose here, so let's see if we can adjust this. What have I done? There. See how fast I get distracted. Let's go. Yeah, so the other day we've had rain all week. Now I know some people sent me messages, they were quite concerned. There's parts of Canada that were flooded so bad, and New Brunswick, which is the province over from us, was flooded really bad. People had to go to shelters and everything. And but we were lucky here by the ocean. Now we got a lot of rain, and there's a lot of salt in the air because we're right on the ocean. And you can hear the transformers crackling when you walk by them. And there's a transformer right above our super box where we collect our mail, which is directly across the street from me. So when we go to get our mail, I always ask my wife, is that right? Should that be making that noise? She's like, yeah, that's normal. But what happens is all the attachments get corroded from the salt. And the one blue. So it's a huge explosion. I mean, for us, it's pretty scary. But, so, of course, went outside and looked. Oh, and no power. So the transformer that blew was attached to our house. So, and then the houses below us, so about 5 houses. And a couple of houses down, our neighbor is a electrician. He works at the hospital. So I asked my wife, because we lost the power and it was really cold. I said, what do we do? Is there a number we call? And then I looked out the window and there's our neighbor with his cell phone walking over to the transformer. So I was like, oh, never mind. He's called the... So Jen went out there to talk to him. He called 911. They were here in half an hour. And, you know, I wouldn't have called 911. I would have called, like, whatever the electrical emergency number is, and for the power company. But it makes sense to call the 911 because, first of all, things will happen faster. And two, it is an emergency. If you had, like, it's cold, so you have babies or... even little children or elderly people, it's dangerous to be cold for any length of time. And if you have medical devices that you need to keep working. So, and I mean, that's his job too, so he knows the best way to deal with it. So we were grateful they were here in a half an hour. The thing that took the longest time was they had to wait for the flag people to come and block off the street so that the crane could get up there. Because they could do the crane, but they need to block it off so nobody walks underneath them in case they drop something. So they got it fixed. We were fine. So thank goodness. We only had snow one day, enough that my wife had to shovel the front deck and clear the cars off. But so I am due for my biopsy on my left breast on December 15th, and I'm hoping that there's not going to be any snow. Funny thing is, I got put on a, I asked to be put on a cancellation list because the wait was a month. Now it's, less than 2 weeks away, but so I asked to be put on a cancellation list. And the thing with the cancellation list in this area is this hospital, I'm getting ready to add. So I'm going to add 3 of the same color, and then I'm going to add the 5 at the end. So we'll add the class to the both sides. So this, because it's a special clinic in the hospital through the women's hospital, it services the whole province. And what happens is people will have appointments, and if there's a snowstorm, there's no way they can make it from remote areas. So they end up canceling, and that's when you get the calls. So my wife actually got her first back surgery through a cancellation. There was a huge snowstorm. And the reason I knew that that's what was happening, we have a part of the province called Cape Breton, which is really, it's the highlands, and it's really, they get major snowstorms. So I'm just going through these 5 again to secure it and to come back around to add our seed beads, our alternate color seed beads. So I was in the waiting room, and there was a bunch of people from Cape Breton there with their family members that were having surgery. And I was talking to the one lady, and she said, yeah, we weren't sure if we were going to come, but what we did was we came. One lady said they came a week early and stayed with family in the city. And then another one said they came the night before and stayed in a motel room so that they didn't have to drive very far. So, okay, so now we are ready. We've turned around here. This is what we have so far. So there's 20 there. It'll be like a Barbie doll bracelet. I'm sure we could find something to make with it. So now I am going to put these over a bit because we're not going to need them right now. This next step is we're going to add our dark beads. Okay. So let's bring these over so we can get at them easy. So I'm going to try and hold it here so you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to pick up a dark bead. So you know it's a dark bead because, sorry. Let me move my mat over a bit there. So you know it's a dark bead because it's right there. So you're coming out of this one here, and we're going to go into the next one like that. And pull it like that. And we're just going to continue all the way down the whole strip. So it's funny, with the snowstorm, I was hoping for a snowstorm so I would get a cancellation. so I'd get it sooner. And then it dawned on me, I don't want a snowstorm because 2 of my surgeries were on snowstorm days. The first one, and they were 2 weeks apart actually, now that I think of it. So the first one, I had to have oral surgery to have a tooth removed, and it was a good thing because it was a huge job for them to do. Now, it's like a 10-minute drive, but we had a blizzard the night before, and my appointment was first thing in the morning. So I'm just continuing, you can see how it's starting to add on. So you go from the light bead, add a dark bead, go through the next light bead, and just continue down the line. I am pulling it a bit, but I'll tell you, when you get to the other end, you can kind of pull it out this way so that you're not curling it too much, but you do want to have some tightness to it. So yeah, my oral surgery was booked for, like, I think I had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And again, it's 10 minutes away in the car, not a big deal. Well, blizzard, you couldn't see the cars in the driveway. We have one neighbor works at like 5 a.m. or something, and the other neighbor, who's the electrician that works at the hospital, he works night shift. So when he comes home in the morning, he gets his snowblower out, and if it's really bad, he blows everybody's driveway so they can get out for work. So him and the other neighbor were out there clearing our driveway, and then Jen did what she could to clear the cars and do the deck, front deck. But the driveway at the oral clinic, surgery clinic, was not shoveled. So she got stuck in, and because it was we were still in a lockdown with COVID, she was not allowed to come in with me. So she had to drop me off the door. Actually, no, you know what? I think she could come in, but she had to drop me off at the door and then go park and come in. That's what it was. And when she came in a half an hour later, she was like, yeah, I got stuck at the door. I couldn't move. I think a bus driver got stuck too, so they were helping each other out. But yeah, that was, she was not happy about that. And I'm not allowed to do any shoveling because of my hands. And then the second one was my gallbladder surgery. Actually, I think the gallbladder surgery was the first one. It was the day I was being released. And the funny part was, they were going to keep me overnight. Like, I had my surgery, they kept me overnight, and then they wanted to keep me another night, which would have brought it to Saturday, which meant that I wouldn't have gone home till Monday. It's unusual, especially after surgery, that they would let you go home on the weekend. So I was like, and it was so noisy at night. So I was like, no, I need to go home. And it was just starting to snow, and they were talking about the storm. So you see how it's curled a bit? I'm just going to pull it to straighten it out, and you can feel the threads move out. And so on one of the others, I did add a brown bead here, and that's why you saw the difference. But I think for this one, I'm not going to bother because I kind of want this separate. So I'm going to go through this bead. I must have a knot here. Yep. That's when you have too much thread on your needle here. There we go. And make sure it's not too tight. There. Okay, so you know where we were. So we went through that side bead here. Now we're going to go down this side. So we can hold it like that. And try not to pull on this section because you'll end up curling it again. If you do, don't worry. When you get to the other end, you can still pull it out and it'll straighten out. So then you go from the light color, pick up a dark color, and go through the next light color one. And this happens. Your tail gets tangled in your thread. So just be aware of that and pop it in there. And there you go, it's starting to come together. So I was bugging the surgeon, saying, let me go, I'm a nurse, I'm good, da 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 da. I feel great, I ate, I did this. And I realized at the time I was manic, so I probably should have stayed, because what happened was, you know, she had to get me home, and again the neighbors were out clearing the driveway, because by the time she got me home, because you know when you're being discharged, there's like, you know, 5 different people that have to weigh in and do their reports to be able to release you. And I actually told the surgeon that if he didn't release me, I was going to go against medical advice. And I was joking about it, but he knew I was serious. And that's what makes me realize too, I was probably manic at the time, because not really appropriate to threaten your surgeon that you're going to release yourself against medical advice. The only reason I knew that process is because being a nurse, right? But so yeah, I got home, and I had a reaction to the anesthetic, and it was a strange reaction. I was hallucinating, and I thought something was biting my leg, and then I would wake up and I'd feel my leg and it was all wet, and then I'd look down and I was laying in a pool of blood. I had gallbladder surgery, had nothing to do with my leg. So I'd have moments of lucidity, so I'd say, well, why am I having these sharp pains in my leg? Not thinking that maybe the sharp pain was a hallucination as well. So I said to my wife, I said, the only thing it could be is I have a blood clot, and that's an emergency situation, especially after having surgery. You need to call an ambulance. My poor wife. So she called an ambulance. That was a shit show. We have issues here in Nova Scotia with ambulances, and it's possibly the same in the States. You don't know who you're going to get when you call an ambulance. You don't know if you're going to get a transport vehicle or a EMT or a, you know, specialized unit. So the people that we got were so rude, totally did not know how to assess the situation. Had they asked the right questions, they might have realized that I was hallucinating. And so anyway, they took me to the hospital, and I thought, you know, by taking an ambulance, I would get ahead of the queue. And unfortunately, there was a queue for the ambulance. There was like 10 ambulances there. And for whatever reason, the emergency room, I think it was a Friday, so the emergency room there was hundreds of people in the emergency room. So they did a ECG right away. Like, they took me out of the queue, did an ECG right away, and it was fine. So I guess they do that to make sure nobody's having a heart attack. And then they had us go sit in the chairs to wait. So they called my name. I went up and I explained what was happening, and they downplayed it and basically told me to go back and sit down. That because they tried to triage me to get me go through faster since I just had surgery. And they're like, you know, she's not bleeding from any. Okay, so I'm at the end here where I'm going to turn around. So at this spot here, so I'm going to turn around again. And this is what I'm, now we're getting a little bit sticky. And what you can do at this point, if you want to maintain the tension on this, you can loop around your clasp. So let's do that so that we don't lose our tension again and get it all curly. So anyway, they had me go sit back down in the chairs. At this point, I was freaking out. I said to my wife, take me home. She's like, well, no, they're going to take a look at you. I'm like, no, take me home. I'm not staying here. And she's like, Emma, you know, don't worry. Everything's going to be okay. I start crying, and I didn't realize I was loud while I was crying. Again, you have to remember, I'm in a full-on manic episode. So I'm like, take me home. I'm not staying here. I'm freaking out. The nurse that assessed me saw what was going on and realized I was freaking out. So he called my name again and they put me through right away. And then they sent me to a specialized unit for people who have just had surgery. So they have a unit for that so that those people are really skilled in figuring out if you do have a blood clot, if you need to go back into surgery, things like that, right? And they sent me for x-rays and did all kinds of investigations. And as the night went on, I started to come down from this anesthetic and realizing I was hallucinating. And so they sent me home that next morning and everything was fine, but the hallucinations were incredible. I actually was hallucinating that there was ghosts coming at me, and the ghost that was coming at me was from Walking Dead. Stuff like that's what it's like to be manic. In case you're wondering, it's one of the things I don't really talk a lot about with my bipolar disorder. But yeah, so that's crazy. Okay, so let's go to the next step. So we said we were going to do these, the light beads as our picot. So we kept this corner 3 to just do the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the second set of the silver beads. I might enlarge this a little bit so you can see where my needle is. Okay, so we're going to go through there, and I'm just going to turn this to make it a little easier to manage, just like that. So now we do not need these again, so we're going to use the light silver, or the light copper. You're going to pick up 3 of these. They are 11/0 check glass, so they're nice and rounded. And we're coming out of this side of this light colored bead, and you see there's only 2 here and there's 3 here. We're going to go to the other side and through. Other side and through. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the third one here. So let me show you what I have. So this is the first one. This is the second one, and that's the third one. Now, if you think about it, we're going to attach a picot here, and we're going to attach a picot here. So you're basically skipping one of the light colors, and that gives it space. So you could call it 2 or 3, but I just, since the needle is in 3 of the light colors, and you have 3 light color ones on your, and just pop those guys in there, nice and tight. There you go. There's your first set of picot. So now you're coming out of So you see now it looks like just two. So you're coming out of this one here. We're going to pick up 1, 2, 3 of the light colors. Coming out of there, we're going to go into the other side and we're going to bring our needle through to the third light color. This one gets a little funky because this bead wants to poke out. So we're coming out of here on this light color. I'm going to go through it, through the next. There, like that. So the next, you're going to go through 3 of those light colors and you're adding 3. And put those guys into place. And you can see it's starting to take shape. So we'll continue like that. Pick up 3. And we're going to go through the opposite side. Go through 3 of the light color. I just remembered the name of the character from The Walking Dead that I was hallucinating about. It was Herschel, which is funny because he dies early on in, I don't know, season 2 or 3 in Walking Dead. And I really liked that character and that actor. So it's funny that that would be the ghost that would come to me. It's such a strange thing to have hallucinations. And for me, I've only had, and I'm trying to think of I think I've had what they call illusions. So there's the word delusion and illusion, and often people confuse the two. So a delusion is like a false idea that you have in your head. A illusion is a like an alteration of something that's really there. So it's kind of like a hallucination, but there's actually something there that you see, but you see it differently. And I'll give you an example. The one time I had some of those, we were driving home at night and all the red lights from the cars looked like they had streamers of red lights coming off of them. So if you have like a round red light, it had like a sunburst of streamers, and as they turned the corners and stuff, it was all, so that's what they call an illusion. And then a hallucination is seeing something that's not there completely. So I'd never had a hallucination until then. And, you know, part of it was the reaction to the anesthetic. The funny part is, it was the first time I'd ever had surgery. So I didn't know that that was a issue for me. So, and the funny part is, I've had 2 hand surgeries since then. And the one hand surgery, I was supposed to be put to sleep for it. But 2 weeks prior, I had my oral surgery. And when I mentioned that, they're like, oh, we can't put you to sleep because we might damage the oral surgery and cause bleeding. So we're going to have to do a nerve block in your armpit. So that actually makes me, just thinking of that now, makes me think, I wonder if there's some issues with I'm having problems with my right breast, and that's the side that I had the nerve block. So I'm wondering if it is why I'm having issues. But they're going to investigate that. I have an appointment to see my family doctor because after I got the appointment for the biopsy for the right or the left breast, my right started getting sore and having issues. So I'm trying not to think about it. Gets me. You know, I watched a video last night on someone, a young person, that talked about her process of being diagnosed. And I'm going to move this bead out. It's a bit teeny tiny. She did a video talking about the process, and one of the big things she said, you know, if she knew what things were and what was going on, that she wouldn't worry. But part of the problem was she had no clue, and it was the waiting was really stressful. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now. So I find if I keep busy with this stuff, look at how beautiful it's starting to come along. Wow, these colors are really nice. I like this. So you can see with the picot how you would not want to, like, we're going to take these and fold them over and zip them up into a tennis bracelet. But you can see how they're so lovely, you want to keep them. You could probably do 2 sets, so you could zip it up and then add another set. Okay, so let's go continue here. So you can see this is a bit intense, and I'm only going through 2 because we're going to turn around now. Yeah, so we did that right. Okay, so now we are going to take our thread. We're going to go through these 3 and come back around. So we're going to go through this one. You could probably get through the other one too. Yeah, that. There. Go through. And we're going to go. So now this one's going to be easy to see because you're going to have a picot on the opposite side. In case you have problems counting like me, I've put them in the wrong spots. So yeah, I'm trying not to think about it and not to stress and just do what I can. I think one of the big issues I had was I was worried they weren't going to check the other breast, or they were going to wait for the results of the biopsy and then decide to take a look at the other breast when I get the referral to the surgeon. And it's like, I'm thinking, you know, why are we waiting? Like, especially because I'm high risk and I have had severe mastitis on that side for no reason. Like, I don't have children. So there was really no explanation. They could not figure out why I had this severe infection. I was hospitalized for a week and on antibiotics, antivirals. They had stuff going through me 24/7 for a straight week, and then could never figure out what it was. And then it changed the consistency of the breast tissue on that side. Like, I had it in both, but the one side was worse. I suspect I was doing a ton of, I had just moved into this house and I was doing, the backyard had never been mowed, so it was like a forest, and all I had was some clippers and a crappy lawnmower. So I spent a whole day clearing this so I could have a backyard. And I had a dog, so I wanted the dog to be able to run without getting ticks and stuff like that. I suspect I probably scratched my armpit and got an infection of some sort. you know, could have been poison ivy, could have been poison oak. My dad had poison oak from cutting a tree down. So a tree that was dead. So he got it bad. Yeah, so I was concerned they weren't going to check that. And as it is, my last mammogram said I had dense breast tissue. And when I investigated about what that means, all I hear is you really need to have a diagnostic ultrasound to be sure there's nothing in or around or behind this dense tissue. And after I had that that mastitis, my tissue is unbelievably dense to the point it feels like a bunch of massive lumps. So I'm just going to put it through. It's not going through all the way here. So go through this one. So we're into an hour, and we've just got, this is as I was saying before, it is a labor intensive one, but it's so worth the payoff at the end. And if you find it relaxing, which I do, you know, something that I figured out when I was doing this too is that one of the positions that they use for using a mala for meditation is this finger never touches anything. So you have it in these two fingers and your thumb, and you move forward to each bead. And I realized I was doing that with my beading, and I'm thinking, no wonder I find it so calming. It's, you know, if the monks do it with their meditation beads, it must have. So I'm going to go through to my next set, like that. So you don't have to do all three, go through all three beads at once. It might save your needle a bit too. So pick up 3, we're almost done this part. The other part's going to go by real quick. And then go through. Let's go through these guys. Like that. Bring that through, and can kind of squeeze them together. Sometimes it works. There. Pick up 3. So I hope you guys don't mind me jibber jabbering. I have been talking to a few subscribers that email me, and it's been really nice to hear from people. I initially didn't want to say anything because I was afraid it would upset me too much to talk about it, but I'm surprised that it actually gets it off my chest and makes me feel better. So thank you. And a lot of people have commented in other videos too, and I appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. Okay, so this is what we have. Let's put it down here. And we need one more. I thought we were at the end. And so here's the other thing too. These collapsible needles, look at the shredding it does to this thread out here. You can kind of see how it's shredding it. So I think I'm kind of over collapsible needles. I was using them a lot because I felt like I needed them so that I could thread them quickly on while I'm doing a video, but I'm realizing it's not really necessary. So let me bring this out. I don't know if there's going to be enough on this to zip it up. We'll see. Okay, so there is what we have. So there's where you're going to put your closure. So now what we're going to do is we are going to add our seed beads. So we are coming out of this bottom bead. We're going to go up to the picot, and we want to position ourselves to the top of the picot like this. Okay. And let's get our crystals out. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my god, these are so amazing. These are Swarovskis. Look at them. I had them in little baggies, and then I had these tubes left over, and I took these out to use them for something, and I thought I'll just put them in the tubes. And then once I got them in the tubes, I'm like, I need to put all of them in tubes so I can just look at them all the time. Then we're going to take, so we don't need these either, so we'll move those aside. And we're gonna do the 50 no's. We will try a first couple of ones and see if it works. And let me test my needle to make sure it goes through. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so we'll put one on that, and then one of these, and another one of these. Oh my lord, oh my gosh. So now what we're going to do is we are going to just thread them all to one side. Oh, the wrong one. Where am I here? Okay. So you're going to go through the picot, the top bead of the next picot on the same side, like that. Okay. So we're going to do all one side, and then we're going to zip it up on the other side. So we're going to pick up 50 no, a crystal, a 50 no, oops, to be 50 no. I may end up taking a break. I hear my wife moving around out there. We are set to go for a run. Oh, this is going to look amazing. So yeah, let's take a break right now, and I will be back with the second part, and I'll fix my thread too, because I think we need some fresh thread. I don't want these falling off. So there we go. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.